I have a notice in the Mazzy versus Mythical Entertainment that should be uploaded now.
Did you say Mythical Entertainment? That's Good Mythical Morning.
Yes, that is Good Mythical Morning. Yes.
There was a lawsuit against them?
Really?
I kind of want to hear this.
This is a community-supported legal education channel. Find out how you can support our mission at the links in the description below.
They showed a photograph of a prison in Norway, and then the guys covered it as a topic in their YouTube show. And now they're being sued.
We're going to try loading the Good Mythical Morning episode that is still up. Here you go.
With Norway, Halden Fengsel is a maximum security prison that houses some of Norway's most dangerous criminals. I'm talking rapists, murderers, importers of surströmming, that stuff we tried to eat with PewDiePie.
Yes, bad people.
It's a 75-acre facility. You can look at this snowy rendering of it. It's not on a huge cliff like that. That's just all they rendered. It still has walls. It doesn't just, you go off into oblivion.
I understand.
It has a capacity of 252 prisoners, but get this, the staff is roughly
it appears they're making commentary.
People.
Wow, that's more.
A lot more proximal system. Has universal health care.
Get it in the
Translation, it's pretty luxurious.
Okay.
So let me take you around. It's 21 years.
So they're talking about the juxtaposition of how a prison should not be luxurious. That's criticism. That's definitely criticism. So what you saw here was they showed the picture of the Halden Fengsel prison for let's see how long.
Our luxurious prisons. But
I was going to say that as a surprise, but I do.
Let me start with Norway. Halden Fengsel is a maximum security prison that houses some of Norway's most dangerous criminals. I'm talking.
It was on screen for about 4 to 5 seconds. So they used 4 to 5 seconds of the entire photograph, but then they went to speak about the prison. This hits my criticism commentary sticking point that we've been making recently. Were they commenting on the photograph? Were they commenting on how the photographer chose to frame the photograph, chose the time of day, chose a lens, chose a shutter speed, an aperture, what effects they used for editing? No. They're talking about the subject of the photograph. It's not a photograph taken of the prison by the prison, and then they are criticizing the prison's photograph of the prison. They're criticizing the prison contained in a third-party photographer's photograph. So yeah, this is why I hesitate with the copyright troll designation on Liebowitz, because not every one of his cases is truly copyright trollish. There is I believe, misunderstanding, a myth, if you will. Maybe Good Mythical Morning would like to talk about it. A misunderstanding of fair use. So I have a friend who's a photographer. Maybe I'll do this. Maybe I'll do an interview with my friend, the photographer who works for the Associated Press. If he goes and photographs an event for the Associated Press, his purpose in taking the photograph and setting it up and having all that equipment, and I mean, this guy spends thousands of dollars, way more than I do, on equipment. He's a professional, a true professional photographer. In fact, it's someone that I aspire to because he's doing a much better job at this than I am. So if he goes and takes a photograph, in fact, he did. He took a photograph of Kaylee and I at Music Fest. Now, he said that I could use it, so I have permission. But let's say that I found that photograph online and I decided to put it up on my screen and make criticism or commentary about the people in the photograph. Oh, look, Leonard and Kaylee are at Music Fest. Why don't they go make more videos on YouTube? They're lazy people who should work harder at their jobs, etc., etc., etc. That has nothing to do with my friend, the photographer, who bought a bunch of equipment and set up a scene in the sense that he found us at Music Fest and took our picture. Now, sure, does his photograph contain copyright protection on what's in the photograph? No, he doesn't have a copyright on us. He doesn't have a copyright on Music Fest, but he has a copyright on the photo. If they're not commenting on the photo, but rather commenting on the contents, it's the contents that receive the fair use, not the photograph. that receives the fair use. So it is a justiciable issue. It is an adjudicatable issue. It is an issue for the judge and a jury to decide whether that use actually was commentary on the photographer's photograph or whether it was commentary on the subject contained in the photograph, which I say are two different things. So let me know if I'm wrong, but I'll also post this question to my fellow attorneys on Twitter. Sure, we'll do law Twitter, and we'll do one of the private forums. We'll do Reddit/r/lawyers, which I'll then share the results of that from you.
It was bound to happen to Good Mythical Morning at some point. Like, they use a lot of photos, and I don't think they licensed them all.
Yeah, and that was obviously not a licensed photograph. It says here it's not a licensed photograph, and then they're being sued for basic copyright infringement in that they were supposed to license the photograph. So that's really interesting. I kind of think maybe they were supposed to license that photograph since they were only commenting on the contents instead of commenting on the contents as well as the photograph, like how the photograph was set up. This is a truly threshold issue, and there are differences of opinion between judges and courts. So we're just going to continue our rabbit hole, and we'll keep refining our definition of fair use as we see more and more court cases to deal with this kind of issue, because they have to deal with this issue. There's just too much trolling going on for them to not deal with it. So what do you think of that story? Good Mythical Morning got sued, and maybe Good Mythical Morning is wrong. I don't want to say those words, but maybe they are, and maybe the lawsuit has some merit. I don't like that. I don't want to say those words, but it's very possible. I'm not surprised. This is a very complicated fair use point of whether you can use the photograph for its contents when you are commenting on its contents, or whether you have to take your own photo when you're trying to do news reporting and you want to go get a photo of the Allentown prison so I can talk about how luxurious the Allentown prison is. I can't just go use some other person's photo of the Allentown prison, especially if it's a photo by a photographer whose purpose in taking it is to license it for use in exactly this kind of scenario. So Good Mythical Morning may end up having to pay a settlement fee or license fee to Richard Leibowitz's client, and therefore Richard Liebowitz.
If it was not a third-party photographer that was taking the pictures, but rather it was the prison itself that was taking those pictures,
yeah, would
that turn it into a fair use?
I think so.
Okay.
I think so, because you're commenting now on the prison is the copyright owner of both. The copyright on the photo as well as the owner of the prison. I don't mean that they have a copyright on the prison. I mean, I guess if it was an American prison, they'd have at least a copyright on any creative architecture elements. But they're the owner. You're criticizing them. It's because you're criticizing and commenting on the prison. So if it's the prison ownership that you're commenting and criticizing, then yeah, use their photos all you want, as long as you're also following the rest of the fair use rules. But if you're using a third-party photographer and you're using their photo, but you're commenting and criticizing on the prison, not on the photo, I think that's not a fair use. It's a very fine point. So I'm not gonna belabor it. I'm gonna leave it here, and we can talk about it in the comments. So let us know what you think in the comments. So that's our show. Thank you very much for joining me. I am Leonard French, your favorite copyright attorney. Thank you very much to our supporters. This channel would not be possible without your support and sponsorship. Thank you to our supporters on patreon.com/LJFrench and sponsors.com/law. Thank you very much to our October supporters and sponsors. Thank you to Joshua Davis and TandaPay for sponsoring us in the month of October. Thank you to the $50 plus supporters in October: Joe Tyson, Aspernari, John Steele, Gavin Barnard, Eevi, Kyle Mudrak, Michael Pearce, Spirit Bear, Jan Negrey, who I think is in our audience right now, Daniel Perez, Snorre Wisotzky, Blackleaf, and Benjamin Hitov. And thank you to the $5 plus supporters who are scrolling on the LED panel behind me and will be in the crawl in front of me for the outros of the video. I am Leonard French, your favorite copyright attorney. Thank you for joining me. I'll see you in the videos that drop. Love you all. Bye.